Hi, my name is Misael from Adapt Lab, and today we're going to be covering modifying the automatic belt tensioner on your UZ engine. It doesn't matter if you are 1UZ, 2UZ, 3UZ, non-VVTi, or VVTi. It matters that you are supercharged. This is going to pertain to the supercharger guys. So if you're using our Adapt Lab brackets from ProCharger, Vortec, Rotrex, or you're using an M112, M122, TVS 1900, 2300, it doesn't matter. This is going to be a video to help out all the supercharged guys who are supercharging their UZ engines. So to state the issue, when you end up putting a supercharger on your UZ engine, you end up changing the belt route, which changes the belt length. Now, we're going to try to stick to our 3% rule. What does that mean? 100 inches of belt means 3 inches of travel. Now, we already have 2 inches of travel here. Let's see what kind of belt length we got. So 4-inch pulley on the ProCharger or Vortec. Let's assume the AC compressor is back on. And with everything the way as you see it, the belt length ends up being 106 inches. With 2 inches of travel, we are under our 3%. We're not meeting our 3% rule. But let's see if we can get that back, because now we are going to zoom in onto the belt tensioner here. This one's already modified. I will be showing you more on the bench on the unmodified one, but here on the engine, we're going to look a little bit closer now at the modified belt tensioner to see how we can get a not only more tension, but a shorter belt, and then end up getting more travel on our tensioner. Okay, so here we got a close-up of the automatic belt tensioner. Now, this is what's going to look like if it's OEM. This mark is going to be in between these 3 marks to let you know, hey, you got a fresh new belt. There's no issue. But by the time this mark gets to here, it's going to let you know that you need to replace your serpentine belt. But we're just going to use these marks here to let us see how much this tensioner travels, right? So right here is where it should be. Right here is going to tell you, hey, you really need to change me. And then letting go a little bit more, that's where the tensioner is done and it has no more tension to give. It has bottomed out, right? But when you go to compress this tensioner to put on a belt, usually you can get the mark somewhere about here. That's where it's going to be. However, since this one has been modified, I can get this all the way back here and fully max out the spring in the automatic belt tensioner. And as you can see, I could get a seriously shorter belt on this drive system. So here is a bottom view of the tensioner. As you can see, I have removed the pulley. If we inspect these grind marks that I made right here, there is a big metal piece that I ended up grinding away. On the bench, I will show you what it looks like before it is grinded. But basically, there is a big hump here. You get a Dremel or whatever tool that you decide is adequate for the job. You end up removing this piece of metal here, and now you're able to get 1 more inch of travel on the serpentine belt. Now, this has a compounding effect. Number 1, you get more travel. Number 2, you're able to get a shorter belt. And then number 3, you're able to compress the internal spring on this a lot harder when you end up getting that shorter belt on there. And you're going to have more tension on your belt. So this just ends up being a win-win-win all over the place. And it's just very simple. You come here and then you grind it. Make sure you take your ratchet, go here, and then you check the full swing before you put everything back. Make sure whatever is left is not going to end up hitting this. So let's go to the top real quick. And this is the piece that ends up hitting the stopper. The piece that was grinded away basically looks exactly like this. And like I said, I will show you on the bench. This part right here, you don't have to do. This is just something I wanted to experiment with. If you end up grinding right about here, this can actually go a little bit more forward. And the idea behind this was, obviously, you're not going to get a lot of spring tension because in this position, the spring is mostly unloaded. I mean, if you compress it all the way this way, it's going to be more loaded up, right? So this would be to just keep putting more pressure on the serpentine belt. Although it may not be a lot, it may end up keeping the belt on if you end up maxing this out and start slipping, especially when you have a longer belt setup on your supercharger setup. Like say, I'm not too familiar with the M112, M122s and how much belt you end up adding, but this right here could save you from completely tossing the belt in the engine bay. I'm more concerned about destruction of what happens after the serpentine belt flies off the engine inside the engine bay with the hood closed. So that's my little prevention there. All right, so this is a zoomed in view of the automatic tensioner with the pulley off. Now this one is not modified, as you can see. This is the hump that you need to remove. Use a Dremel very safely and remove all this material, and double check that you have full travel of this tensioner when you end up putting it back on, because you don't want it to catch. You want it to have a completely full uninterrupted travel. Okay, so that's all you need to do. And again, if you want to grind this and get rid of this material, this is an added bonus of safety that I don't think it's necessary. Majority of your gains are going to be for here. But if you want to end up removing this and a little bit of this here to get a little bit more travel forward, that's up to you. This one is a little bit more difficult to get to. Same thing with this. You really need a vise and you need a friend. So buy one and then get one of those, of course. But yeah, all you need to do is grind this, and then you can get a shorter belt, more tension, and then end up getting closer to that 3% rule. All right, have fun modifying your Supercharged UZ.